It's not a very good image. Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Stellar Toad, and today I'm going to talk about the ego and the higher self, and basically what the higher self is, because a lot of people confuse the concept of higher self for thinking that they are God, basically, which is basically cheated by the ego in order for the ego to then believe that the ego is God, which isn't true. So, I don't really have anywhere to set the camera down, so I'm just going to hold it. So, you're not God. That's... Okay, Carl Jung. Oh, it works perfectly right on my knee right there. Carl Jung was an amazing psychologist who worked alongside Sigmund Freud. I don't really like Sigmund Freud models of psychology, because I don't think they're accurate or that they work very well for humans. So, basically, Carl Jung wrote a book called The Red Book. And in the Red Book, he kind of explains the higher self very accurately without using the words higher self. Okay? So, what the higher self is it is the dimensional part of yourself that is in a higher dimension than the third dimension. And so, that aspect of yourself is, you can normally look at that aspect of yourself like a child aspect, which is why the Bible and other ancient texts say, be like a child again. Because when you're born, you're in a state of perfect alignment. You're in a higher dimensional state than the third dimension. So, there was a phrase in the Red Book, and that phrase was, I am the servant of a child. So, to understand the higher self, basically, even though your ego and your higher self are one and the same in varying degrees, like the Kabbalion says, we're going to look at it like two different entities for a second, so you can understand it. So, your God, the part of yourself that is Source, the higher dimensional aspect of yourself that is constantly in the process of creating the third dimensional aspect of yourself, or your ego, is a child. And you, or your ego, you in the third dimension, your self-image, is the servant of that child. So you can actually go into meditation and start talking to yourself and find out what your higher self's name is. This can also be referred to as your true name. That's why a lot of spiritual yogis and stuff changed their name. So I found out that my higher self's name is Deuteronomous. So you can find out what your higher self's name is and use that name in order to speak to your higher self, because it's going to denote a certain vibrational frequency that will trigger your higher self to communicate with your lower self, or your ego. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about holotropic breathwork also. So, in other videos, I've actually said that holotropic breathwork works by increasing the amount of oxygen in your blood, which goes to your brain and stimulates your pineal gland to produce serotonin, which reacts with melatonin in a way that synthesizes dimethyltryptamine, which is a neurotransmitter. But actually how holotropic breathwork works is the direct opposite to the same effect, except even better, and with health benefits. Sorry, my legs got uncomfortable. So, except even better, and with health benefits. when you do holotropic breath work, you're taking in so much air that basically what happens is your lungs stop working. They stop taking in oxygen. And you're still expelling carbon dioxide and no longer taking any oxygen. So your carbon dioxide levels get super low. And your oxygen levels in your blood get super low. Maybe I can set it there. And your oxygen levels in your blood get super low. So this is called something hypoxia. And what this does is it slows down your metabolic rate by a huge amount, and it shuts off a part of your brain. A very specific part of your brain that's quite near the center of your brain, but not in the center. It's kind of shaped like a tri-boomerang. So it's kind of shaped like that in your brain. And that's basically a part of your brain that lights up. Well, it's the part of your brain responsible for your self-image and your ego, or your lower self. And when you go into something hypoxia, or holotropic breathwork, well, when you start getting high from holotropic breathwork, that part of your brain starts shutting off and causing a very mild ego death. So you might feel like you're disappearing, or you've just ceased to exist for a second, but that's because your ego has ceased to exist for a second. And if you surrender to that feeling, which you should, what's going to happen is that your higher self's energy will be able to then translate through your normal third-dimensional brain. And when this happens, well, when your ego shuts off in your brain, it actually stimulates your pineal gland to produce serotonin and melatonin. And they react together to turn the serotonin into dimethyltryptamine, which is only actually created in small amounts when you do this, but the small amounts occur in your brain, okay? So they react immediately. They don't have to go through your bloodstream and then into your brain. They are in your brain immediately when you do this. So it's a very low dosage of the dimethyltryptamine, but it acts like a higher dosage, a middle dosage, when it's directly in your brain. And because it's so similar to melatonin, or serotonin, it basically reacts with synapses in your brain, and so certain cells come in to try to take the dimethyltryptamine out because it's not technically serotonin. So basically, when you do holotropic breath work, you're hacking your body to do something that in a normal circumstance it wouldn't do, but your body is still perfectly capable of creating the dimethyltryptamine, or the DMT. So it's not an unnatural thing. So yeah, what causes the psychedelic effects of holotropic breathwork is actually the deficit of oxygen and the deficit of CO2 in your blood. So, and that's been proven to be healthy. Wim Hof got the Nobel Prize for his breathing technique, which is very similar to holotropic breath work. And sometimes it's even better than holotropic breath work. Wim Hof got the Nobel Prize because when you do this breath work and create this oxygen deficit, it actually triggers a protein which affects your DNA in a way that improves your health and extends your lifespan. So yeah, oxygen deficit sounds not healthy, but when it's combined with CO2 deficit, it's super healthy. And you get high. So yeah, but again, that's healthy too. That's healthy for your brain. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is Stellar Toad. Leave a like, subscribe, and comment. And now I'm gone. Now I'm back. Now I'm even more back. So, yeah. Goodbye. Hope you enjoyed the video.